Shivoham, 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 Shivoham. 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 Shivoham, Shivoham.
Shuklam Varadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Manojavam Marutatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtham Vatatmajam Vanarayudha Mukhyam Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye. Namaste. Welcome to Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam. We should begin the satsang as always with Kriyas in the beginning for about 25-30 minutes, followed by a satsang in Sundarakand. For those of you who have been practicing Kriyas all these weeks along with me, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email, sundar@kyg.org, or send me a WhatsApp or a text, or simply post your question on the YouTube or Facebook chat. I've requested Maya to take some screenshots so we can follow up in the next class. So we have a few classes left. We get a chance to clarify any doubts, please do so. Let us as always begin with the 3 Oms. Let's sit up tall and straight. Inhale. Exhale fully as you chant the first Om. Inhale, come up. Now before we go into the second Om, pay attention to the Bandha, Udiyana Bandha. The Lagu version or the simple version of this Bandha. There was a question yesterday. How do we do this? It is simply simple. Just keep your stomach pulled in slightly. Slightly pull the stomach muscles in, hold it there, lock it in place, and keep it locked throughout the practice. Whether you're bending down, whether you're twisting, everything, this stays. You're going to inhale. So keep one hand here and see. Inhale and exhale. This moves, the chest moves, but not your stomach. So that is what I mean by keeping the bandha in place throughout the practice. Keep this locked. It comes, you have to be very patient, it takes time, but you will learn to understand how to keep the stomach slightly tight. You don't have to pull the stomach all the way and then you can't breathe. So you just have to keep it tight and keep the movement in your stomach at a minimum. What happens is it activates the heat here, so it pushes the prana up to the region of the chest and the prana stays here. It helps to move the consciousness up. Having said that, maintain this bandha, form the bandha, maintain it. Inhale, expand your chest. As you exhale, chant the Om. Inhale, come up. And then shift your awareness to the throat. Pull the air in through the throat. It's a very simple technique. Just relax these muscles, just partially close the glottis. And you will hear the sound of air moving in and out through the throat. Again, it comes with practice. Engage the Ujjayi breath. The Ujjayi breath and the Uddiyana Bandha are the key factors in this practice of all these Kriyas. Keep them both going. This is the basis of all yoga practices, asanas, Kriyas, Pranayama, and so on. So keep these two, this Bandha and this Ujjayi breath, the Ujjayi Pranayama going. The third one, inhale. Inhale, come. Kamala Kriya. Enter the world of breath. Listen to, feel, tune into the breath. Reverentially receive every inhalation into the body, because along with these come the Mahaprana. All right. Kaka Shuddhi Kriya. Maintaining this bandha, inhale and powerfully exhale through the mouth. Continue to exhale till you can exhale no more, and then inhale and come up and immediately go into the next one. If you can. If you cannot, then take a couple of breaths and try again. We'll do 5 such ones. Sit up tall and straight. You can keep your hands down like so. It helps your lower back. Inhale. Inhale, come up. At your own pace. Once you're done, Kamala Kriya. Maintain this bandha. All right. Agnisara Kriya. You're going to breathe out fully, either through the nostril or through the mouth. Hold the breath, this time outside. Pull the stomach nicely in, create a concavity, and then flap the stomach in and out, loose. When you're done, inhale. And again, exhale, repeat the same thing. We'll do this 5 times. If you need to take a break in between, please do so. You don't have to do 5. Do as many as you can, 2 or 3. Let's begin. Inhale at your own pace. Exhale fully. Once you're done, Kamala Kriya. Go back to tightening your stomach muscles, holding it there. Allow your chest to move as you breathe in and breathe out. Wonderful. 3 rounds of Markata Kriya. Let's begin. All the time maintain the bandha. Inhale. Exhale. 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 One more. Inhale. Exhale. Maintain this bandha. Inhale. Exhale. 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 Kamala Kriya. All right. Let's get ready for the Pranaam Asana, Pranama Kriya. So sit in Vajrasana if you can. You can always use a block in between your feet, a pillow or a cushion to sit on like so. Sit up tall and straight, maintain this bandha. When I say maintain the bandha, what I'm talking about is simply the muscular contraction, the physical contraction of the muscles here. Just maintain that. Keep breathing in and out through the chest. Fold your palms in, thumb first, fingers over your thumb. Fists on either side of your belly button. Inhale. As you exhale, collapse gently. 5 deep breaths, inhalations and exhalations. Allow your stomach to get pressed, all the vital organs squeezed as you breathe in and out from between the shoulder blades and the sides of your lungs. Gently, when you're done, inhale. Come up, exhale, release the mudras in your hand. Maintain the bandhado. And slowly come back to your seated posture. Prepare yourself, Bhastrika, for that mindfully. Kamala Kriya with the bandhas in place. All right. Bhastrika Kriya. You inhale and exhale. Now, I received a couple of videos where the person is doing like this. Whether you sit or stand, sitting on the chair, it doesn't matter. You could be standing up and doing this as well. But the principle is, as you're coming down, don't hold your breath. So in the video, it was done like this. Inhalation was okay, but exhalation was so from here to here, the person was holding the breath and then releasing it. Now that is not how I want you to do this. So you inhale, and powerful exhalation begins from here to here, you finish the exhalation. Don't hold your breath and then exhale. So this is what you should not do. Don't hold your breath. It will work counter. It is going. You're continuously breathing. It's important. Okay? So please be aware. All right. 30 kriyas. Do as many as you can. Slow pace. Let's go. Breathe in and out. Kamala Kriya. All right. Throughout this, maintain the tightness. The lungs inside your ribs, that expands and contracts. Those are the bellows of the blacksmith that Bhastrika refers to, not the stomach in and out. Keep the bandha in place. That is how this becomes a powerful aid to meditation. Second round of kriyas. If you want, and if you wish to, and if you can, do it slightly faster pace. You don't have to. 30 kriyas. Let's go. Kamala Kriya. All right. The third round of Bhastrika. If you can, do it slightly faster than the last 2 paces. Only if you can. Don't force yourself. Don't compromise on the integrity of the practice. 30 counts. When you're ready, begin. Kriya. Wonderful. Let's gently settle down to the Ramanama Pranayama. The left hand will continue to do the Kriya. The right side with the Nadi Shodhana Mudra. We will do the Nadi Shodhana Kriya. Now that we have generated so much prana, we gently circulate it to the left and the right side of the body. Left in, right out. Right in, left out. Left inhalation, 4 counts. Right exhalation, 8 counts. Right inhalation, 4 counts. Left exhalation, 8 counts. Focus on the volume of air that goes in and comes out. Focus on the ratio. Enter the world of breath. Be surrounded by the breath all around. Into the celestial sphere, into the Bhuvarloka. Enter the Bhuvarloka. Leave this physical world behind. Subtleness. And in that, while you're focusing on that, allow the name of Rama to gently drift into your consciousness. And that will automatically expand the consciousness. That is not a conscious effort at all. Let that magic happen. In that dimension, we meet in oneness. All our spirits meet there. And every soul that needs sustenance gathers sustenance, strength, vitality, and blessings from that divine communion of all our mantras together in that akashic space. Maintain this bandha. Sit up tall and straight. Neck bent down, shoulders relaxed. Close your right nostril and let's begin.
Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale.
साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने। श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने। श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने।
Namaste. For those of you just joining the Satsang, welcome to Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam. What an honor it is for us at KYG to be able to host this divine Satsang. It is entirely the grace of the divine that we have been able to do this continuously so far. And we hope and pray that the divine continues to guide us and help us complete this yagna. So in this wonderful chapter in Sundarakand where we are studying and reviewing Hanuman's actions through his own words. Hanuman recounts his experiences of what he did and what happened to him in Lanka. This is a big chapter of 166 verses. And so I've broken it into one more segment, 84 to 107, and then hopefully we'll complete the rest tomorrow. But this is again a very beautiful portion where Hanuman talks about, if you remember, he talked about Ravana's interaction and Sita's interaction. And then he comes to how he introduce himself to Sita. How did that happen? That's a very beautiful, beautiful moment in the entire story of Ramayana. Because here not only is the devotee looking at the god, if you will, or goddess, divinity,
but the divine being in turn also connects. Eyes meet. And that is the beauty. And so, before we go to that, Hanuman talks about Trijata. So, why is Hanuman mentioning Trijata's dream? It's interesting because he did not really converse with her. How would he know? In the story part of it, right? He is hiding in the trees, but he hears Trijata mention her dream, and therefore that's how he knows it, and that's how he recounts it. And the fact that he's recounting the dream of a she-demon means something. This was not just an ordinary she-demon. She was the one who took care of Sita, who knew that something wrong was going on in Lanka, and this was not the right way to do it. So Valmiki introduces her at the right time when Sita is at the very point of giving up hope, completely dejected. Then Trijata mentions her dream to the she-demons around her, and perhaps to the hearing of Sita as well, so she gets to listen to this. Because as Hanuman tells the Vanara, Sita apparently tells her that if what you say comes true, then I will bless you. And she does. Like I mentioned it earlier, many weeks ago, Trijata has a temple in the north dedicated to her because Rama and Sita blessed her. Because she did that selfless seva, just taking care of Sita and making sure no harm comes to her. Now that is the story part of it. What was her dream again? Her dream was, she dreamt, as Valmiki explains more in detail, but we won't have a chance to go into that detail, but Hanuman briefly mentions it here, that Rama comes and destroys the entire the heritage and the kingdom of the demons, and then rescues Sita and puts an end to Ravana and everyone. So she sees it as an ill omen, the Ravana's threat to Sita, Ravana wanting to, raising his hand to strike Sita, Ravana giving Sita 2 months notice, if you will. All of that strikes Trijata as bad omen. And she dreams this, and she gets up and tells, I don't dream much, but if I do, then this is the dream I saw. And therefore, you want to eat someone, eat me. Because these she-demons are thinking of eating up Sita anyway. So she says, eat me, don't eat her. Because there cannot be any harm that can come across Sita. So the story part is pretty straightforward. But for us, how do we take the symbolism? Now that we are reviewing it, the symbolism is, what is it that turned the tide for Sita? Of course, Hanuman and coming and all of that, but that's the bigger tide. That's the smallest, the little turn. She touched the rock bottom, and then hope came in. How? Through Trijata's dream. And then she began to feel auspicious signs, right? If you remember the story, her left eyebrow and the left arm and all of that began to throb. And so left eyelid, began to throb. And so she felt, okay, these are auspicious signs. Something must be happening. And so that was the turning point. So Trijata coming at the right time, Valmiki introducing Trijata at the right time is wonderful, because he could have introduced Trijata, or Trijata could have had this dream even before Ravana came, right? And she could have mentioned that at that time, but it was the right time for her to talk about this dream. Perhaps Hanuman also got to listen to it. So it's a very important thing for us to consider. So what is it then when our lives go to, sometimes, not often, and not for everyone, some of us, chosen ones, we get pushed to the brink of a mountain, almost to the edge of the cliff, if you will. Whether it is in the form of illness that comes, or a relationship problem, or financial problems, or something so much that we tend to lose all hopes. And we feel like this is it, life has come to an end, there's really nothing more I can do. We tend to feel that. when we come across such situations in life, and if you're young and listening to this, if you're a 14-year-old or 20-year-old or a 30-year-old listening, and you might say, well, that doesn't happen in my life, then there is nobody who escapes these kind of roller coasters in life. That is part of the game of life. I'm not saying you're going to experience trouble, no. But what I'm saying is you got to be prepared for that. So what is it that helps us turn that around? When does a rock bottom feel like this is it, this is the bottom, now I have to the only way from there is upward, back, not further down, because I've touched her. That's why it's called a rock bottom, right? What is it? Trijata's dream. And so who is Trijata? The way I've understood this, and I continue to understand it, is there is only one word, Atma Vishwas. Atma Vishwas is the right Sanskrit word for it. For those of you who know Hindi and Sanskrit, you can immediately relate to it. The English word Atma means the self. Vishwas could be understood as confidence, but I'm using the word faith. Faith not in a religious sense. Faith not in like faith in a dogma, faith in a God and things like that. But this is a deep-rooted faith that the self will prevail. That is the faith in the self. What do you mean by faith in the self? Faith in the self means the faith that whatever happens externally in my life, the self is prevailing. The self will prevail. I will not be harmed. The I in me is untouched and will not be harmed by this experience. That is our resting place. That is the point of peace. That is the I in the storm, if you will. And let the storm blaze around you, but be centered in that faith that the self is eternal. The self will be untouched. Na punyam, na papam, na saukyam, na dukkham, na mantro, na tirtam, na vedaha, na yagnaha. Aham bhojanam naiva bhojyam na bhoktaha chit ananda rupaha shivoham. Na punyam, na papam. So I am untouched. The self in me is untouched by all of this vice and sin and pleasure and pain and good and bad, and all of that self is untouched by all that. And so we have to create that, not wait for life to push us to the edge of the cliff and then begin to say, oh, I have to now rely on my self-confidence. It is not too late, but how good it would be if we start relying on that anyway, every day of our lives, bringing it to our forefront in the form of meditation, contemplation, that there is a part of me that is eternal. There is a part of me that is never going to change. Even though the body undergoes the change, the mind undergoes the change, the emotions undergoes the change, my personality undergoes the change. I liked tomato ketchup when I was young. I don't like tomato ketchup anymore. Things like that. All of that will change. But the I in me, there's a part in me, explore that. There's a part in me that seems to be constantly expanding, learning, getting wiser and wiser and wiser and wiser. A deep part in me. I'm not saying that is the self, but that gives you an idea of a sense of prevailing over the ups and downs of life. Immortality and all of that understanding will come. But first we understand that I will prevail. I will prevail. This is not going to end who I am. I will prevail this experience. However bad this experience is, that comes from this knowledge, this Atma Vishwas. It is only through grace that we can develop this. But that you can't sit back and say, where is that grace? Let the grace come, as if it's going to come from somewhere up above and some God is sitting there and deciding who should get that grace and not. It doesn't work like that. When you open your heart, grace comes. When you open your mind to learning, when you open your mind to the understanding that there is a part in me that seems to prevail over all this. Wasn't that I in me when I was struggling to turn my body over in the cradle when I was perhaps 8 months or 9 months, and I just wanted to so badly turn over, and that I prevailed that. And then I crawled, and then I walked. I fell a million times perhaps, but I learned to walk. Through all this ups and downs, the little falls in my walking, through little hurdles in my school and this and that, and some health problems here and there, whatever it is that we went through in life, think of that. The I is still there. The fact that you're listening to this and I'm talking means the I in you, the I in me has prevailed. And who is to say that I will not prevail forever? So keep that mind open. And when you open that mind, grace flows. That faith begins to settle down into a core belief. And that core belief, that's why I said this is our home. Like when you go deep inside to the innermost core of who you think you are, there you must find this seated and being nurtured. Atma Vishwas. That faith in the self is what is going to help us. And so Trijata, in the depths of Sita's heart, there was this self-confidence, and therefore she never went beyond an extreme. She contemplated on all this. See, what is the point of all this? I would rather die than it was an ethical issue for her. See, I would rather die than succumb to any of this Ravana's threat and all of that. But inside her, this self-confidence prevailed. So that is the symbolism we have to take. So even with us, within us lies this beautiful Atma Vishwas. Open your heart to this understanding. Open your mind. Begin to contemplate on the idea that the self is eternal. The self prevails. However you can understand that. Start taking that step towards understanding the I in us is much more than what I originally thought it would be. It's much, much, much more than I can imagine. Right? And that's what the beauty is. The I in me is the true God. There's a very beautiful quote. God is more truly imagined than expressed. God is more truly imagined than expressed. But he exists more truly than is imagined. So express the I is this. Express it and say the I will be saying that. And then begin to imagine what it is to prevail. And then the truth is much, much beyond that as well. But those doors open. The sunlight never decides whose house he should visit and whose house he should not visit. The doors are closed. And so he's not allowed to enter certain homes, certain rooms. But when you open the windows and the doors, sunlight pours in. So open your heart, grace will come. And in that grace, you will plant these seeds of Atma Vishwas. Baba would say, self-confidence, this is the true meaning of the deep self-confidence. And the Sundar feeling confident that he can sing or talk and dance and all of that, or he can go alone here and that. All that comes from that inner confidence. So the self-confidence that we normally Google and read and understand is one aspect of the real self. So Sundar is one small part of the I in me, right? So the self-confidence has to come from that inner self. So that forms, Baba would say, that forms the very foundation of spiritual growth. If you want to attain self-realization, God realization, the foundation of that home that we are building is self-confidence. And then from that arises self-satisfaction. He says these are the walls. Self-sacrifice is the roof, and self-realization is living in that contemplated state. So that is the way we approach this whole subject. So for me, Trijata, at that point, giving support to Sita and turning the whole tide around, there can't be anything more powerful than self-confidence. And so Rama and Sita bless that energy. So it is a blessing. Self-confidence leads to self-satisfaction, contentment, the ability to give rather than get. So if you think it might lead to pride, no, you will know it. If you are proud, it's only an empty vessel that makes more sound. You will look for others to endorse you. You will look for others to appreciate you. You will look for somebody else to say, oh, you're doing good. Otherwise, you feel dejected. But self-confidence says, I know what I am doing. I'm being guided by a higher energy. And therefore, my mind is at peace. That kind of confidence is what I'm talking about. It will come with contentment, richly laden with contentment. The emotion that comes from that meditation is contentment and peace and the sense of prevailing. There is no question of success or failure or growth or no growth, none of that. All of that will go away. The sense of I being prevailing comes. So Trijata is that, a sign of grace. Atma Vishwas. One more word to write down on the refrigerator door and pin it, because it is so important for us to understand Atma Vishwas. All right, so let's see what next. Hanuman and Mother Sita's interaction. This is why I said this is such a beautiful thing. Hanuman is watching Sita from the top, and then Hanuman says, how do I talk to Sita? How do I get her attention? You can imagine Sita is completely surrounded by this, and Ravana has come and threatened her. She is lost in her thoughts. How does Hanuman attract Sita's attention? It is the greatest clue Valmiki has given you and me as to how we can attract the divinity within, how we can open that door to invoke the grace. Bhagavan would often say, Baba would often say that you can claim yourself to be my devotees, but I have to say you are my devotee as well. So it is easy for the devotee to say, I am devoted to so-and-so, I do this, I do that sadhana, I do yoga, I do meditation, this. But then what about the receiving end? Is there an acknowledgement from the receiving end? Does God say, yes, he is my devotee? Right? That is the beauty of that. And so this is that moment. So how do we know? How can we hear God's voice saying, yes, my child, you are my devotee, I accept you? How do we know that? How does that our spirit open to that awareness, understanding? The path to that is given to us by Hanuman, because he wants to attract Sita's attention. And Sita is completely immersed in herself, lost in the thought of Rama. How does he get to her? What does he do? Hanuman begins to sing the praises of Sita? No. Of the Ikshvaku dynasty of Sri Rama. So the moment he starts singing the praise of Rama as a son of Dasharatha and the entire story, Sita's eyes open and she's listening to this. And then she looks up to see Hanuman. So here the beauty here at this point for us to understand is the importance of Kirtan, Bhajan, Namasmarana. There is nothing more powerful than that. Nothing more powerful. You say, oh, but I meditate, I don't do bhajans. They're not separate. When you're listening to Krishna, Rama, Govinda, Gokula Nandana Gopala, Krishna, Rama, Govinda, Gokula Nandana Gopala. What happens is you meditate on Krishna and Rama and that divine energies that bless the earth. Their stories come at the back of your mind. Their images, whatever images we think they are, they come and flash and go. It becomes meditation. And so they are not separate. But the power of the name, you are invoking. When you use a name, you are invoking. It is the easiest, the shortest, and the most powerful. But remember this, please. Because when we listen to such things and say, oh yes, when I drive to work, I listen to bhajans every day. And somebody else would say, oh, we have bhajans playing all the time in our house. You know, it just goes on. We will do our work, that just goes on. Now, those things are good. I'm not saying no, but that is not going to do anything. You can't treat it as by the way. Hanuman's complete focus. Think of that. There has to be a time when you take that bhajan or the namasmarana, sit and give your complete undivided attention. That is why I suggest Ramanama Pranayama is the best, because you sit and along with your breath, you go into that world of Rama. It becomes a namasmarana. The breathing practice becomes incidental. You are drifted into that dimension. It comes with practice. But that is the beauty of namasmarana. You have to have that one-pointed, focused attention. You can't say, when I drive, I listen to bhajans and that is my sadhana. That is a part-time sadhana and the benefits will be only part-time. Why? Because that is the importance you are giving to the divinity within you. If Hanuman is saying, I will also search for Sita, but in the meantime, there are fruits here in Ashoka, let me also fulfill my hunger. I can sit in Mainaka, I'll relax. I can't just devote my entire life to searching Sita. Rama didn't ask me that. I will do at my own pace. Hanuman could have done all of that, but then he wouldn't be Hanuman. You and I wouldn't be talking about that. So, do you think Hanuman would have realized when Sita is, where Sita is, if he had diverted his focus and attention everywhere else? And so we need at least some time in the day, in our lifetime, you decide when there is no disturbance. So that's why I suggested early morning. Why early morning is suggested? Because you normally don't get calls early first thing in the morning and you're not rushing. So that is the time you say, this is my time with my inner self. And therefore I'm going to completely immerse myself in the namasmarana. At that moment, you can listen to a bhajan, you can sing a bhajan, you can chant mantras, you can chant the name, but go into that, the beauty. So Sita is meditating on Rama, and Hanuman praising Sita would not have done that. That's what Ravana was doing. Hanuman is praising what is most treasured in Sita's heart. What is that? Rama. And therefore, by praising Rama, Hanuman attracts Sita's attention. The Shakti's attention is attracted when we go into the Shiva Tattva. And that is why when we focus on the self, all the divine grace of all the gods and all the beings, all the rishis, all the siddhas, we attract all of them, because all of them, their most treasured possession is that eternal self. The divine Mother Shakti's principle and grace is attracted into our life when we focus on what is dearest to her. And even in her heart, whether it is Sita or Lakshmi or Saraswati, however we look at it, all these point to that one thing. They are focused on the eternal self. They are focused on the Shiva principle. They are focused on the Rama principle, on the Krishna principle. The greatest joy that would come to Radha's heart is when you sing Krishna's name, not Radha's name. The greatest joy that comes to Hanuman is when you sing Rama's name, not necessarily Hanuman's name. He's not pleased when you praise him. He's pleased when you praise Rama. Why? Because he's meditating on Rama. And so when we chant Rama's name, he also gets to meditate along with us. And thus he carries us in that meditation and we get carried. It is the same thing with Shiva. Parvati's tapas pulls us in and towards Shiva. So the power of Namasmarana is very beautifully, very subtly, and yet very powerfully shared with us by Valmiki. Hanuman begins to sing the glory of Rama. And that attracts Sita's attention. Hanuman and Mother Sita's interaction. So Hanuman decides, even before he starts singing, I think, if I remember correctly, he thinks, and that also adds to the Namasmarana concept here. So these are all given to us in a platter. The secret of self-realization is just given to us. It's now up to us to practice. Right? What does Hanuman think? Now, that's not in this conversation of Hanuman with Vanaras, but then Valmiki says, and I think it's worth repeating because it's giving us a chance to review what happened. So Hanuman says, how can I address Sita? How can I talk to her without the demons understanding my language? In other words, how do we go into this world, divine dimension, using words where the mind does not get distracted because I use the words again and again in regular language? Right? So are there special words like this? Is there a special language that I can use which only is the language between me and my divine, my relationship with my God, my Lord? Is there a language that I can speak only that she will understand, he will understand, and none else? All the other sounds and languages that I use will distract me otherwise. And so, what does Hanuman say? Hanuman says, I'm going to speak to her in Sanskrit so that Sanskrit is not understood by these demons. And yet, I will not speak like a scholar or a pandit, if you remember that. Because then she will think I am Ravana. Imagine what a powerful message that is. So it is not our pandityam, like we say, it's not our scholarship that will attract Sita. In fact, Sita will say, no, you are not the one. You are Ravana. It is not how much I know, how well I can pronounce, and how powerfully I can sing and all of that. It's none of that. It's not the scholarship or the talent that you exhibit is going to get you anywhere close to Sita. Hanuman is very clear about that. He says, I will speak to her in simple, colloquial Sanskrit language, because those days Sanskrit was a normal language of humans, right? And so that's why he uses that. He uses the word Sanskrit. To us today, to you and me, and now Sanskrit is a foreign language. But nevertheless, if we can still take time to learn a few words from that, like Rama and Krishna, a few mantras, understand the meaning and begin to chant that, then because Sanskrit is not simply a language, it is a combination of divine sounds with 50 letters in them, and it's a marvelous experience when you learn it and chant. Okay, so Hanuman says, it's not my scholarship, I'm not going to give a poetic language and all that. I'm simply going to address it. So the simplicity, the bhava, the emotion, the feeling that you bring in attracts Sita. What more do you and I want? How simple, how clear has Hanuman made it for us to attract the divine attention, to get the attention of the divine within us, to awaken the divinity. What is it that we need? We need bhakti. We need one-pointed bhakti. We need complete dedication. We need drishti, dhiti, mati, and dakshim, and all those qualities. We need atma vishwas. And then with all of that armor, we begin to chant the name of the divine. And then the mother's grace comes. When you chant Narayana, Lakshmi comes and says, okay, I love the way he's into Narayana. In his consciousness, I will get in and I can also enjoy that Narayana. This is how we attract higher beings into our consciousness. So more about it as we go along. But this is the idea I want you to understand, that how beautifully, powerfully Valmiki through Hanuman has explained to us. So then Sita looks up to see Hanuman. What a divine moment. The eyes meet. Hanuman is looking at Sita all this time. But when he starts singing the name of the Lord, when he starts singing the name of Rama, when he starts glorifying the story of Rama, then Sita looks up and their eyes meet. What a moment that would have been in Hanuman's life. What a blissful moment. She looks up to see Hanuman. And the rest is history, right? Hanuman presents Rama's ring to Mother Sita. And Sita in turn explains to Hanuman, and Sita in turn gives a jewel from her hair. She says, give this to Rama. And all of that happens between between Hanuman and Sita. So Hanuman now becomes a full-fledged messenger. Until now he was one-sided, carrying the message from Rama to Sita. And now Sita is given him a message to go back. So a full-fledged flow of this Mahaprana is established. Hanuman gets his completeness in this meeting with Sita. This is my 100% belief. After this, she doesn't look back. And so you and I have that opportunity in our lives to invoke the grace of the divine, to feel that grace and to hold on to that experience as the greatest treasure. And then slowly allow our lifestyle, our thoughts, our words, our actions to revolve around those treasured experiences of the Spirit. At first, they might seem fleeting. At first, they might not seem so important, even though they give us momentarily wonderful peace and bliss. But then when they keep happening again and again, thanks to satsangs, thanks to your associations, thanks to your one-pointed effort and practice, when those experiences begin to happen, slowly they gather momentum and and your life begins to gravitate around them rather than anything else. And then life becomes magical, life becomes beautiful. And what matters is only Spirit and the joy that flows from the Spirit and the joy that flows from being one with that divine. So Hanuman, all his confusion, doubt whether he will find Sita or not, all of that vanishes when he sees Sita and then he asks her, right? We talked about that in that chapter as well. I think it's day 51. If you do want to revisit day 51 or 52, he revisits, he asks Sita, I want to hear it from you. Are you Sita? And she says, yes. How beautiful that conversation would have been when the story actually happened thousands of years ago. Today we are understanding the symbolism of these divine beings playing that role for us, for you and I to understand how we can replay that Ramayana in our lives, how Ramayana is being replayed in our consciousness, and how can we take these inner meanings and put an end to Ravana once and for all, open the doors of Ayodhya so that Sita and Rama can rule from the heart chakra. And so with these thoughts in our consciousness, let us therefore invoke our divine, beloved friend and guru. Today we got fresh flowers from Costco. So those bright blue flowers, and I think those bright orange ones, they're all from the Amazon jungle. That's what we are told in Costco. So it's amazing. So Hanuman is in his bright colors today. All of this is a reflection of our consciousness. And that's why I keep saying it's grace that happens, all of this. So when you see beauty outside, know that there is a window opening from within you to appreciate that and be lost in that joy. At that moment, just get lost in that joy, in that beauty, in the color. Because all of that forms and goes inside and forms that Hanuman within. And therefore, let us invoke this divine being into our consciousness. And let him hold our hands. And together with Hanuman, let us meditate on Rama.
Om Bhuh Purusham Shri Bajranga Rupaya Shri Samba Sada Shivam Avahayami. Om Bhuvah Purusham Shri Maruti Rupaya Shri Samba Sada Shivam Avahayami. Om Suvah Purusham Shri Chiranjeevi Rupaya Shri Samba Sada Shivam Avahayami. Om Bhur Bhuvah Suvah Purusham
श्रीरामदूत हनुमान रूपाय श्रीसाम्ब सदाशिवम् आवाहयामि। ॐ तासां मध्यात् समुत्थाय त्रिजटा वाक्यमब्रवीत्। आत्मानं खादत क्षिप्रं न सीता विनशिष्यति। जनकस्यात्मजा साध्वी स्नुषा दशरथस्य च। स्वप्नो ह्यद्य मया दृष्टो दारुणो रोमहर्षणः। रक्षसां च विनाशाय भर्तुरस्याजयाय च। अलमस्मात् परित्रातुं राघवाद् राक्षसीगणम्। अभियाचाम वैदेहीमेतद्धि मम रोचते। यस्याह्येवं विधः स्वप्नो दुःखिताया प्रदृश्यते। सा दुःखैर्विविधैर्मुक्ता सुखम् आप्नोत्यनुत्तमम्। प्रणिपात प्रसन्ना हि मैथिली जनकात्मजा। ततः सा ह्रीमती बाला भर्तुर्विजयहर्षिता। अवोचत् यदि तत्तथ्यं भवेयं शरणं हि वः। तां चाहं तादृशीं दृष्ट्वा सीताया दारुणां दशां। चिन्तयामास विक्रान्तो न च मे निवृतं मनः। सम्भाषणार्थं च मया जानक्याश्चिन्तितो विधिः। इक्ष्वाकुणां हि वंशस्तु ततो मम पुरस्कृतः। श्रुत्वा तु गदितां वाचं राजर्षिगणपूजितां। प्रत्यभाषत मां देवी बाष्पैर्विहितलोचनाम्। कस्त्वं केन कथं चेह प्राप्तो वानरपुङ्गवः। का च रामेण ते प्रीतिस्तन्मे शंसितुमर्हसि। तस्यास्तद्वचनं श्रुत्वा ह्यह्यमप्यब्रुवं वचः। देवी रामस्य भर्तुस्ते सहायो भीमविक्रमः। सुग्रीवो नाम विक्रान्तो वानरेन्द्रो महाबलः। तस्य मां विधिभर्त्यं त्वं हनुमन्तमिहागतम्। भर्त्राहं प्रेषितस्तुभ्यं रामेणाक्लिष्टकर्मणा। इदं च पुरुषव्याघ्र श्रीमान् दशरथी स्वयम्। अङ्गुलीयमभिज्ञानम् अदात्तुभ्यं यशस्विनि। तदिच्छामि त्वया ज्ञप्तं देवी किं करवाण्यहम्। रामलक्ष्मण्यो पार्श्वं नयामि त्वां किमुत्तरम् एतत् श्रुत्वा विदित्वा च सीता जनकनन्दिनी आह रावणमुत्साद्य राघवो मां नयत्विति प्रणम्य शिरसा देवीम् अहम् आर्यामनिन्दिताम् राघवस्य मनोह्लादम् अभिज्ञानमयाचिषम् अथ माम् अब्रवीत् सीता गृह्यताम् अयमुत्तमः मणिर्येन महाबाहु रामस्त्वां बहुमन्यते इत्युक्त्वा तु वरारोहा मणिप्रवरमद्भुतम् प्रायच्छत्परमोद्विग्ना वाचा मां सन्दिदेशः ततस्तस्यै प्रणम्याहं राजपुत्रैः समाहितः प्रदक्षिणं परिक्रामम् इहाभ्युद्गतमानसः उक्तोऽहं पुनरेवेदं निश्चित्य मनसा तया हनूमन्मम वृत्तान्तं वक्तुमर्हसि राघवे यथा श्रुत्वैव न चिरात् तावुभौ रामलक्ष्मणौ सुग्रीवसहितौ वीरावुपेयातां तथा कुरु यद्यन्यथा भवेद्येतद्द्वौ मासौ जीवितं मम न मां द्रक्ष्यति काकुत्स्थो प्रिये साहमनाथवत् तच्छ्रुत्वा करुणं वाक्यं क्रोधो मामभ्यवर्तत उत्तरं च मया दृष्टं कार्यशेषमनन्तरम् श्रीराम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने राम 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 सीता राम 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 सीता राम 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 सीता राम 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 श्री राम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे श्री राम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने राम 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 श्री राम राम रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने राम 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 सीता राम 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 श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारी बरनो रघुबर बिमल जसु जोदायक फल चारि बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहे हरहु कलेश विकार राम 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 श्री राम 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 श्री राम 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 जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन वरण विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया राम 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 श्री राम 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 श्री राम 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 श्री राम 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 श्री राम 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 सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुबीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही सम भाई सहस बदन तुम्हरो जस गावे अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा, जम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाँ ते, कवि को विद कही सके कहाँ ते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा, राम मिलाए राजपद दीन्हा। राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम, राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम, राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम, राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम। तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्र योजन पर भानु, लियो ताहि मधुर फल जानू। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माही, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाहि। दुर्गम काज जगत के देते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे देते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे। सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे, तीनों लोक हाँकते कापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम, राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम, राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम, राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम। नासै रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम, राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम, राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम, राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंतकाल रघुबरपुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो शत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटहि बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होए सिद्धि साकी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, की जय नाथ हृदय महाडेरा। राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 राम, राम 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 राम, श्री राम 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 पवन तनय संकट हरण मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुरभूप।
राम 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 श्री राम 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 श्री राम 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 जय श्री राम।
समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। May all the beings in all the worlds be happy. जय बोलो पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। शांति शांति शांति।